Hello and welcome back from the Firelink Shrine. So in the meantime, as promised, I have upgraded my stats to get proper Ryuchi Katana, which, let's read the description since we did last time. A unique katana characterized by the fine craftsmanship of an eastern land where it was forged. The finely sharpened blade cuts flesh like butter and causes bleeding, but breaks easily as a result. With a specific skill that we've seen the Swordmaster actually using during his fight. Let me give you a brief demonstration. I will also use it in combat. Like I said, the blue bar serves specifically for these purposes. So you need to wield the weapon with two hands first. Then pressing R2 activates the weapon ability. Normally it will just activate, but in this case it gives me distance in which I ready the blade, and depending if I press R1 or R2, sorry, my character executes like an horizontal slash or a vertical one, which inflicts more damage than normal. It's very cool for crowd control. Oh, actually very nice. Let me see if there's something else that I haven't checked.
Inspect the gadget.
I guess I can upgrade in the meantime. Do I have enough souls to actually upgrade my Ryuchi Katana to +1 just to be sure? I didn't check, to be honest. Not because I acquire 2 Titanite shards. Moving on. We will get them. I will get them off screen, you know, if need be. Needless to say, it's still a good weapon. So, let's do what we promised and use the bonfire to travel to our first major location, the High Wall of Lothric. In case you forgot from the intro, Lothric is basically the general setting of this. Remember, ages have passed and a new civilization has risen, you know, on the ashes of the others, in this case the Kingdom of Lothric. And now we need to start our journey in order to recover these Lords of Cinder, to check if they're willing spontaneously or not to get on their thrones. And this is a bit of a unique case because, again, this is just a teleportation to a place that did not have a bonfire. It's literally there to jumpstart your journey. So let's open the doors. Oh, these doors are always so heavy. There we go, on the high walls of Lothric. If I recall correctly, there should be a bonfire right, yeah, under here. So let's begin here. When it comes to first levels, this is much more similar to, say, the Undead Burg in the first Dark Souls. Alright, we can technically go forward, but if we go back here, we have basically a bunch of extra goodies that we can grab by defeating a couple of enemies too. So let's put to the test the Ryuchi Katana. There you go. 2 shots at an enemy like this easily. It's not bad of a deal. Let's see, there are a couple of dogs. Okay, let's do it. See, I don't even seem to be needing to build, but let's for proficiency check. There you go. The dogs have been so, you know, distorted by the curse that they don't even have eyes anymore. You've also noticed a bunch of pilgrims here, which are these technically non-doing NPCs, but there's another one that can go around and can actually stir them into action if you're not careful. So watch out, because you might end up, you know, with... backstab. We ended up with a bunch of, you know, mooks actually, you know, pining against you. You can tell that Hidetaka Miyazaki was a fan of stuff like Dawn of the original, you know, zombie movies like from John Romero, because there's a lot of, you know, imagery based around that. Yeah, might as well actually use this to talk about it, because it was in the description of Ryuchi Katana, the durability of the weapon. Honestly, it's much better than, again, it's almost negligible compared to Dark Souls 2. In Dark Souls 2, if you forgot, your weapon broke constantly, you know. not broke, but it came close to breaking constantly. It was always a pain in the ass, and you required a lot of, repair powder. In this game, it's much more acceptable, but to the point where you don't really need it. If I recall correctly, it will be almost completely negated. Oh fuck, it's one of those enemies I forgot. A couple of these minor NPCs can transform you into this monstrosity. If you have fire bombs, it's best to use them against him, But if I remember correctly, I don't have any more, so they're just skedaddle for the time being. Okay. But yeah, basically, again, the durability is a much needed improvement for this game, and I'm actually very, grateful for that. There you go. So is there the corpse? If I recall correctly, this is the passage. Yeah, there's another version on the side to a shortcut. So we'll come back here later eventually when we unlock stuff. Do I have anything that I can toss to this guy? No, not really. I don't wanna waste an ember. I'll come back to him later another time. We're close to the bonfire anyway, and it's good soul farming anyway.
So I saw Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes not long ago.
Remind me again, is it a new reboot or still a continuation of the Rise series?
It's a continuation. Apparently, during development of the movie, it was going to be a reboot, but I'm guessing they must have changed tact at some point, so it's now a continuation set many centuries after the events of war.
Which I'm guessing makes it more resemble the original movie that we commented upon.
Yeah, I'd say so to an extent. The apes talk a lot more in full sentences.
Mm-hmm.
And we do see a lot of humans are more,
primitive.
I mean, although there are a few that retain their intelligence and speech, although they're not many.
Although it's funny, Dweebs, well, I don't know when we'll ever get to that, but if we ever continue the classic series, and I mean the very classic, let's just say that the conclusion is a bit bonkers, because Charlton Heston character literally blows up the Earth in that.
I saw the second and third films of the original series. The second one was just a bit weird, and that ending was bizarre. The third movie was really good.
The Tim Burton movie is just a mess at the end of the day. I still think it's good for commentary purposes, just for how interesting it technically is. And I appreciate the fact that they stuck with, practical effects rather than using CGI.
Well, because the CG at that point wasn't really ready for...
No, it would have been a nightmare to look at. Like, imagine... Yeah. Sure, stuff like Lord of the Rings, and to an extent also Star Wars Episode 1, had managed to demonstrate that it was possible, but on the scale that Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes was, no, not really.
Although by 2011, they could do a lot more with the effects and motion capture technology.
The cast is also not that bad. Of course, these days, Anna Bonham Carter is more memed into being part of, Tim Burton's productions, but back then she really wasn't. So there's that. Anyway, for a bit of lore, you may notice that we've been around in this particular place to the carcass of a dragon, actually. A wyvern, technically. It's obviously, dead unresponsive, so don't worry about that, but it's not necessarily composing, but if you notice, I don't know how the compression of the stream will do, it's basically deteriorating into ash. Scale by scale, it's actually poofing away. Not to the point of completely decomposing, it's just an effect applied, but that's what the game is trying to convey, that it will just, disappear like that.
So it's the other meaning of turn to ash.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, basically, that phrase that we also mentioned in the first part about Pokemon 2000, yeah, that can be applied to basically most of this game. That's the entire central theming of this game, Ashes. Well, technically Embers too, but, you know, that kind of point of decay when it comes to the linking of a flame. Like I said...
Well, someone needs to get out the dustpan then.
Like I said, it's basically Miyazaki trying to tie up some of the loose ends and, you know, making sure that the franchise goes out in a decent kind of way. Again, as we've also speculated, for all we know, Bandai Namco can just, you know, make it continue for all we know, you know, and From Software will. But like I said, but again, Elden Ring is a good continuation, just with a, you know, with a different name, so I welcome that. Of course...
I also...
Go on, sorry.
I also saw, because it's the 25th anniversary of the release of the Phantom Menace, I saw that in cinemas. It was fine.
I can imagine. Well, okay, it's true. The version that I saw in theaters, well, back when I was a kid, was the one that had not all the CGI, like the Yoda was a puppet instead of, you know, being in CG.
I mean, I don't think much of Puppet Yoda in Phantom Menace, if I'm honest.
No, it's clearly one of... It's not one of the... Oh shit, actually, no, that's a living dragon. It's clearly not the worst part of the movie. It's complicated, the relationship that I have with the prequels, because there's a lot of discourse about them, especially these days, in saying that, oh, maybe they weren't so bad, and like... I'm willing to basically... Hold on, let me give you a second, because, you know, to get past this section I need to run, you know, to avoid the fire of the dragon! Fuck me! There you go. But, so I'm basically willing to come away halfway through. Like, I understand the idea that maybe people were too harsh on them in the past, particularly when it came to the bullying of, you know, actors like Jake Lloyd or, you know, Jar Jar Binks' voice actor, and I think also Mocap. It's a good thing that things have improved for technically them, you know, these days, but it was really a rough time. I can only imagine how worse the presence of the internet like these days would have been for them, like we've seen on occasion with Rose in the sequels. On the other hand, no, they still are severely flawed in a lot of occasions, and you know, they could be so much better. Revenge of the Sith is still, you know, my favorite of the three, but Episode 2 still remains such a slog. Like, no matter how cool the climax can be, you know, and seeing Christopher Lee hanging with a lightsaber is, it doesn't really, unfortunately, change the stuff like the very sappy romance that happens between, you know, Anakin and Amida and Padme. Like, it's
the best I can say about the romance is that it seemed worse.
Yeah, to an extent, yes, but that in itself doesn't unfortunately say much. Like, it's like...
I mean, I still have fun with all three of the movies. It's just, you know, I won't deny that they're flawed, but I still enjoy them to an extent.
Like I said, Episode 2 is still something that I cannot, in all consciousness, you know, enjoy completely. Like, the other two, yes, and like I said, Revenge of the City is technically a good time overall to me, but, no. It's good. It's actually good also what they technically spawned, like the Genndy Tartakovsky Clone Wars series, the 2D animated one. There you go. It also showcased the disconnect because the character of, like, when I saw originally Episode 3, I thought General Grievous was the coolest shit ever, because I hadn't seen the Clone Wars. And then I basically learned later that in the movie, he's basically just a fraction of how cool he was actually in the animated series. Like, damn.
Apparently from what I understand, I haven't seen that show, but from what I understand, part of why Grievous Society wasn't Revenge of the Sith was as a result of what happened at the end of the show, so...
It basically was a continuity thing that Lucas could not ignore, basically. Because that's the thing about the Star Wars canon. You kinda need a sorta to, you know, make things fit into place, otherwise you need, like, 2 more materials to, you know, make sense of the plot holes. because almost everything is canon. And by the point of the time of the prequels, there were a lot of side materials that had canonized a lot of things, like the video games, for example.
Ah, yeah, the alternate ending of the Revenge of the Sith video game. Honestly, it's endings like that that helped build up my sense of humor when I was a child.
Also, the Lego Star Wars games technically also helped that.
Basically, Shiori, have you watched Revenge of the Sith?
No. I don't think so.
I'll just sum it up. There's the big battle between Obi-Wan and Anakin, well, / Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Spoilers, I know. At the end of Revenge of the Sith. But the alternate ending of the battle has Anakin kill Obi-Wan, and then he kills the Emperor and becomes the Emperor of the Galaxy. I dread to think what that would have looked like.
Well, again, a couple of video games love to, engage in these, what-if scenarios.
Yeah, I've played the Force Unleashed ones as well.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, Chewbacca gets killed by Han Solo accidentally firing a shotgun blast at him while he was trying to kill Starkiller.
Then Obi-Wan's ghost tries to intervene. Yes, it was a first occasion where, a Jedi Force ghost tries to do something.
But he got defeated and, yeah. Oh, and Luke turned to the dark side.
Because, of course, it's
and Princess Leia died.
It's more of a tongue-in-cheek, reference to one of the, alternate stories where it's revealed that Palpatine had a fuck ton of clones, for themselves in case of emergency, and Luke turns to the dark side. It's generally considered one of the worst stuff of the old expanded universe.
Yeah, I mean,
so nobody gets to have any fun.
Yeah, Force Unleashed 2's main plot, aside from being able to mind control people, Force Unleashed 2 to me was just kind of...
It's also extremely short. It showcased the fact that LucasArts was basically on fumes before the Disney buyout. But that's the thing, Shiroi. The constant thing about Star Wars, even before the sequel trilogy came out and basically had the internet on an all-out war, is genuinely that nobody gets to have fun. Aside maybe from some of the actors who work on the movies. And to be fair, like the Jedi games done by Respawn Studios recently have been a good time. They managed to actually make me like a scripted sequence, believe it or not. That takes a lot.
I've only played a bit of the first Jedi game.
Okay, it's technically a bit spoilery because it's the very end, but the scene with where, towards the end of Rogue One, where they basically turn Darth Vader into Michael Myers with a lightsaber?
Yeah.
They kind of do something similar to that there. It's very effective.
That's cool.
Anyway, new bonfire. Go on.
Well, I know I did play the bit where it starts with Order 66.
Mm-hmm. Let me see if there's an item. Yes, there you go.
I wonder if that can make a video game in and of itself. Star Wars Order 66.
I mean,
you play the clone troopers / stormtroopers on the mission to kill all the Jedi.
Oh, I think there was.
You would make that.
There actually was, I think, at least some material that would go into that. Not necessarily video game, but at least some of the series did, touched on what was happening around the time.
Yeah, why not? I'd do it. I could voice the Emperor.
Of course, and of course, who can forget also the Robot Chicken sketches with Seth MacFarlane voicing Palpatine.
I think in one of those, didn't they get George Lucas to voice himself in one of them?
I think so, but I don't know the details on that. But it's still amazing. Although, fun fact, when it comes to, the classic one, the one where Palpatine gets informed about the Death Star destruction, I was so used to watch it in grainy 240p quality that... fuck, I got killed again. Listening now when the audio is actually more, cleaned and actually proper, feels kind of an auditory uncanny valley effect to me. because I was used to actually hearing stuff like, Seth MacFarlane using a lisp because of the poor audio quality. So as a result, what is actually the normal version of the audio feels different to me because of that. Go. Alright, to continue instead of something that we were actually talking about towards the end of Dark Souls 2, but did not have much time to elaborate because final bosses and stuff. So Shiroi.
Yes.
We were, if I recall correctly, talking about the fact that you've seen the Amazing Digital Circus pilot, although by the time we're recording this, technical episode 2 as officially
I have not gotten around to it yet.
Again, to me it's perfectly, so I'm more impressed by, like, how many views it's actually getting. Like, sure, being famous, I get it, but, like, it's something, by the time we're recording this, it's something like, I don't know, like, at least 30 millions, if not much more.
And it came out a week ago, I believe?
Like I can already imagine that in terms of YouTube money revenue, that's already a lot, and that's not counting stuff like, say, merchandise maybe. Like I can already imagine this is very profitable for the people involved.
Going for the pilot, like going by the pilot alone, it's very, very like friendly to the internet, shall I say.
Yeah, I get it. They just say a couple of characters became instantly Tumblr sexy men by default.
I don't understand.
Me neither. Then again, to be fair, there is another group, a group of Italian people I'm with, who is basically instead all over when it comes to instead Asbin Hotel, and let's just say that there are a couple of fangirls, particularly for the obvious characters that you can imagine, like Alastor, even though the character in universe is supposed to be our race.
Yeah.
That's another series that, like I said, I watched recently and I enjoyed it. Despite the fact that they take a page of the Donkey Kong Country cartoon and have 2 musical numbers per episode. Like, goddamn. And, but admittedly, a couple of the songs I actually like the one that Husk has with Angel Dust about how their lives
Lose a baby.
About their lives suck.
That's one of my favorites.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, it's supposed to resemble a Broadway musical, so if you don't like that, it's not for you.
There was, okay, without spoiling in case for those or the audience, there was a point where I was potentially groaning as in the, I think, penultimate episode, which ends with a very straightforward Lyra revealed, situation. I was like, oh my god, we're actually doing this. Just to mention quickly for the game, this door is technically locked. There is an NPC. We're gonna get the key and actually free him, so don't worry. But thankfully, the last episode actually resolved this very quickly and in a decent, actual mature kind of way. I was like,
yeah.
thank God.
It's like, we don't need to do this. And it's like, oh, okay, it's fine, actually. Okay.
You wonder why I did in the first
more like to have a point, Dweebs. Sometimes you want to, in the wise words of 13 Reasons Why, start a conversation.
The moral of the story is Adam's a dick.
Of course.
I thought you were gonna say that. I thought you were gonna say I wrote this episode to prove that Lyra revealed is bullshit.
Again, there's a fine...
It's like if you like those parodies of things that don't really parody.
Yeah,
them,
and more like play straight and want to complain.
They play them straight. They play them straight, but just make a quote unquote witty remark about how we're doing this, are we?
Have you watched Hell of a Boss also, or no?
I actually,
no, I haven't. No.
I have to, take. Oh fuck. I have actually to get back to that. I know Kesha is in it for some reason.
I actually know the reason.
She's a fan or something? I don't know.
Vivzy did a fan animation of one of her songs many, many years ago.
Okay, then. Fuck, it's another one of these guys. Let's see if I can actually throw a bomb or two from a distance. Yeet! There you go. Yes, so fire is very effective against this guy. I'm probably, considering I have a fire gem, if I recall correctly, I probably should try to enchant the Uchigatana with that, but let's just say that we're gonna have a fire dungeon later and I want to be safe with it. This fuck. By the way, the actual name of this enemy is literally called the Pass of Man, just for more unpleasantry. There you go. But basically, with this group, just to mention, oh, you piece of shit, come back here! Get back here! This group, god damn it, this pond. I'll get it back later. This group that I was just mentioning, Dweebs, maybe show a couple of anime recently, like for example Frieren, but also there was, I forgot what was it? Right, Solo Leveling, which is a very bad series, if I have to be honest. Like, it has, like, the character design is technically a competition on who gets to have the pointiest chin. No, really. And the story is interesting of a premise. It's kind of like, again, it's kind of has the same thing of Sword Art Online to me. That's an interesting premise, but the main character, it's not necessarily even unlikable. It's just there. Like, they're trying to make him be like Light Yagami, but you know, this conniving mastermind who rises as an underdog from you know, this setting. But no, it's not really working to me. But the reason I'm talking to you about these Dweebs is that another series that they made you watch. It's something that they technically, you know, a series that was made more, you know, a couple of years ago, so not immediately. But let's just say that it was fairly interesting, and I think you might be interested to know. It's called Moriarty the Patriot. Yeah. And it's about essentially a retelling of the mythos of Sherlock Holmes from Moriarty's perspective, which is reimagined as, again, this basically Bolshevik patriot that wants to eat the rich of the noble class of the United Kingdom. I know, it's kind of weird. I know it is an English dub, but I do hope that they have British accents for the character, because, you know, it's still set in the UK, kind of need to have that.
Can we at least... Yeah, that's the thing, though. We haven't... Here in the UK, the amount of times we actually get a show like that to dub comes along once every 15 years.
15 heliocycles, yeah.
It's weird. What else is there?
It was just to mention because I can imagine it might be a series that you want to watch. I think it might be on some, you know, streaming services, but considering it's not, it's not super, you know, super recent. But one other important thing is that they kind of do the thing that the original series of Full Metal Alchemist and Hellsing did, in which the series was done as the manga was still going, so apparently the ending is different.
Oh, that's always worrying.
Yeah, so apparently they basically take a bit of liberties towards the end, but I haven't seen it yet, the ending of that.
Does it end with Moriarty killing everybody?
I mean, I guess...
You didn't write it, so no.
Also, and yes, they obviously went through because like, basically the character design goes for the full bishiness, as in everyone is bishonen as fuck. You know, you can imagine the complete homoerotic subtext between Moriarty and Holmes, because of course there is. Anyway, new enemy type. These robust fella, let's just say, with a big weapon to compensate.
Welcome to Dark Souls 3 music.
It's more like Beyblade edition, because this guy spins. I need to see if I can backstab. Ow.
By the way, while I was burped, Alice mentioned that she's been called out at work for humming has-been songs while she's been walking around.
Fuck. Let's just back down a bit. I can heal. Ugh. Nope. God damn it. I'll try to get back and actually get around him. This dungeon is not really that long. Again, the key component when it comes to Dark Souls is basically get used to the level design, and then the world is basically a oyster. You know, the difficulty of the enemy can be circumvented if you know where to go and what can you do about it. It's a very basic type of advice, but it's really helpful for this kind of game. And again, also helpful for most From Software. I basically made an effort to check back a bit of their old catalog, you know. I'm not sure if I actually record stuff like Kingsfield and Shadow Tower, because despite having a plot, they're not super commentary worthy. Maybe for a stream occasion, similar to this, but they can be a bit, you know, visually dull potentially. Still enjoyable to play. I would recommend the stuff like, you know, the Kingsfield games, true and proper. You know, it's just that, you know, I need to ponder. But they are a good time, and I kind of wish, you know, From Software would re-release them, you know, technically, but alas.
Well, coming up, we've got the directs. It's direct season pretty much. We know when the Xbox One / redacted is. That's certainly not Call of Duty, we swear.
Yeah, there's also the
Nintendo one at some point
in June, and then of course Joe Keighley has his circus tent for Summer Game Fest this year too.
Oh boy, I wonder what that's gonna be.
Is he gonna stream? He's gonna be stream bombed once again? I wonder.
There'll be stream bomb. There'll be a segment where he, where he bows down to Kojima. It's like a drinking game.
Yeah, basically. At the very least, that's one technically more harmless. It's more the fact that, again, the guy... Thankfully, last year at the Game Awards, they managed to avoid, you know, the stream bomb, thankfully. But, you know, the fact that it happened in the first place, it's alright. It's still kind of, you know, a laughing stock moment. Okay.
Just hope no one infiltrates the stage.
No, I'm pretty sure at this point he has some level of security. Maybe, hopefully not not really oppressive, but more of a case of, you know, checking people as they enter, you know, if they don't have anything suspicious on them. Because at the end of the day, what the kid did was basically be an idiot, you know, on stage. But that's it. But if someone actually had something like a knife, that would have been kind of a different story altogether.
Yeah, that's the scariest part. If a kid can get on there, who's to say someone with a knife will be?
Especially because, you know, in today's day and age, unfortunately, you know, there is thankfully a bit of, you know, concern to have for these kind of things to happen, which is kind of a shame. Again, well, there's something that has been talked about, but Nintendo was supposed to have a bunch of events, you know, in general, that they had to postpone because someone actually sent a lot, and I mean a lot of death threats to them. Like...
And it's happened, like, for more than one event, too.
Yeah, like, to a point of making them genuinely concerned. That's the problem, basically, with that. Which normally Nintendo doesn't care when this happens, but, you know, so it's a testament to the magnitude of this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what else is there?
It actually reminds me.
Oh yeah, we're getting a Switch
successor
at some point.
Well, if I had to guess, it probably will be announced at the September usual direct, because the Switch was announced by that point.
Yeah.
Voila. There you go, you saw my technique in action. He sucks.
Honestly, one thing I'm glad about nowadays is that these streams aren't a ridiculously late time of night.
Well, some of them still happen, like the Game Awards, because again, gotta to pander to the American audience.
Yeah, because I don't like sleeping anyway.
Like, and I don't even mean that you need to do them on the complete opposite, as in doing a time that is comfortable for Europe and not for, for America. Like, I'm pretty sure there is a balanced kind of way to do it. I don't know.
Let's all just ruin our sleep.
I mean, it's kind of like, there was one of the Shen comics about that. It's like, but would I really need it? Where he's basically rearranging stuff.
And then there's also the Ubisoft Forward, as they call it.
By the time we're recording this, we don't know yet, but there's speculation also that Sony will have one of its events. Not necessarily a state of play, but an event in May, as we're recording this. Who knows? But there's been a lot of...
Won't be long before we find out if that's the case.
There's been a lot of leaks of that basically... Oh, fuck me. Really? I got killed by the dog that ran at the bonfire?
Oh, no.
Bullshit! Alright.
Well, you should, keep your eyes peeled. Well, not now, you're dead, but when you come back to life. Because
the dog
that,
did not
feeling
have its
of-
eyes peeled. Yes,
Yeah.
sure.
The feeling of passing out right next to your bed in Stardew Valley.
yeah. Just like you would in real life.
Damn.
Down.
Well, I was referring to my own comment, but yeah.
It's
So what if I've occasionally fallen asleep on the floor? Shut up.
I mean, I did after we were done with Faith and Strife.
Which one?
The original waves. Yeah, the audience doesn't know we're technically recording the sequel, but now we're recording also this. But the remember
the part where I'm not sure how much you actually remember.
Yeah, it was a doozy. Like I remember seeing, it was around the time where the SSMB was streaming the Super Mario Dick cartoon, if I recall correctly. So basically, I watched a bit of that, and then I basically collapsed onto the floor.
Oh yeah, that show. That was.
It was a thing, yes.
Yeah. It says something when I don't even think the Sonic cartoon, which was also made by Geek,
And sponsored by the Italian Mafia.
Goody.
Is that the one that's themed after Super Mario Bros. 3, or is it the other one?
That's the thing, Shira. There are 3 of them, believe it or not.
Oh, I only remember 2.
The Super Mario Bros. Super Show, which is based around Super Mario
Oh, that
2.
one, the one with live action.
Yeah.
Flavors,
Then it segued into the Super Mario 3 cartoon, and then into Super Mario World, which was, a lot more...
Which is the one with Mama Luigi, right?
Yes. If I recall correctly, that was actually the last episode.
Really?
Of course, you know a show more by its name, surely.
I mean, to be fair,
Hey, I watched that show when I was a kid.
sometimes memes are actually a good gateway to actually make you know something. Especially because, they can actually be about... That's, again, when a meme actually manages to work out rather than being basically forced upon you, it's actually one very beautiful thing because it helps you discover potentially a media, because it might be a thing that had been dormant for literal years, potentially a decade or something, and then out of nowhere, because a random post or situation gets potentially spammed, it results in getting popularity. Like recently, an old Looney Tunes cartoon, which is a parody of Dick Tracy, got more popular because exactly this happened. It's just
I
a
think
matter of...
back in the early... Oh, sorry, go on.
It's just a matter of, how spontaneous it is. Go on, Shira.
I think back in the first couple of years of its release, the majority of people who picked up Undertale knew about Sans first.
It was also inevitable all over the place. Particularly one set of Team Fortress 2 cosmetics was very popular because you could recreate the character as a result.
You could be Sans in Among Us now.
Of course. To be fair, Among Us has done a lot of collaboration, like, there's a lot of VTuber costumes.
This one was from an indie.
Yeah, I remember
like miscellaneous
that.
indie. Yeah. With Celeste as well.
Oh, right. I actually don't think well, you might have noticed potentially, because I did streams recently of that, but I don't know how much you know it, but even possibly hearing by name. Oh, fuck. You gotta be shitting me.
I never heard of that guy before.
I just got jumped outside of the elevator and lost all my soul.
Huh.
Dark Souls, everyone! A comedy
Are
of
you sure
errors.
this? Are you sure this game isn't? Are you sure this game isn't as cheap as the last one?
No, Dweebs, I still need to get, the hang of things. Okay. Let's give it another try. I'm editing,
Wow, even
Well,
doors don't like you.
I
I'm
I
editing
look
this
forward.
So go on.
I look forward to getting to the next level in about 5 months.
No, Dweebs, to be fair, we're actually technically close to the boss of the level. And like I said, I will use the in-between parts to actually farm souls in order to actually, drive my stats and the weapon, because now I have a sufficient amount of Titanite to start strengthening it. Also, I think I might have got a better shield at some point, hopefully, so there is that too. I also seriously start to need some actual decent, things to wear, because, the deprived as a funny starting thing, but actually let's check immediately if they have... Nope, no. These are a bit better, I suppose. Alright, let's get the deserter trousers. Okay. Anyway, what I was saying is basically, because it was actually included with PS Plus recently, I started technically, I've almost actually already done with it, because I did in a couple of days, about Tunic.
Oh, how is it?
I actually genuinely enjoy it, but I get the idea it might not be for everyone, because his entire selling point is to being purposefully cryptid. And I don't mean in the same way that stuff like, say, La Mulana is, but more in a case where there's a lot of gameplay and story integration, as in you literally have the game manual that get combined piece by piece in order to, give you hints about where to go or how the game mechanics perform, but because it's actually written in a fictional language for the most part, there's a lot of interpretation that you have to have. But basically they do something similar to how, if you don't remember, in the original Metal Gear Solid, like Pedro said, in order to actually contact the frequency of Meryl, you need to check behind the game cover, which has a screenshot with that on it. They do something similar to that, where pieces of the manuals will have screenshots of places or actions in the game that you're technically not, there yet. There you go. Get off my ladder. Those give you a hint on where to go. It's actually quite neat in the way it's actually done, but I can imagine it's not for everyone. It has some accessibility features like literally make you invincible right from the get-go, which I'm of two minds about it. Like, I get the idea it should be something that could be more unlockable, or something that potentially gets to be more of a reward if you know what to do. Potentially, I get it why it's there to have more of a cozy experience, but like I said, I've been always of two mind of just giving you everything from the get-go, potentially on a silver platter. And I mean, on this level, like, it's necessary for people actually who need it, and so it's technically better than not having it. But I would wish people who don't need it would be able to not having to access it immediately. But it's something that's overly complicated, admittedly, and probably it's better this way.
Oh yeah, another curious addition to the PlayStation Plus library not long ago, since you mentioned that. Alone in the Dark, the new nightmare.
The PS1 Classic version, which, to be fair, it's because of THQ Nordic now owning the rights to the series, and they already did that by having the Game Boy Color port being available, like on Nintendo Switch Online experience. Like, that's so random. It's so weird.
Yeah, the PS2 version isn't on because.
Also, decoding was a bit of a nightmare, if I remember correctly, so it's also that because of that.
Right, and I gotta say though, how the hell? I'm actually, in terms of the music, I'm actually curious because the game has two composers, Thierry Dussault and, of all people, Stuart Copeland.
Yeah, although I do not know what the actual score is like. Alright, let's get to the bonfire and call it a day.
Stuart Copeland doing a horror score, that's...
I mean, it would be interesting. Okay, I can't remember
Before
any.
we
I can't remember any of the Spyro games having a score, particular score that was cool to be considered, haunting. Like, sure, some of them more dark than normal, but I don't know. Yeah, sure.
The close.
Mhm.
Go on, Sherry. I'll go after.
Oh, I was gonna ask, since we're talking about recently released things, I don't know if we talked about it in the last part yet. Have we mentioned Crapsels yet?
No, not yet.
No.
I actually don't know what you're talking about, but I know there's a mod.
Another Crab's Treasure.
Oh, another Cram's Treasure. Yeah, no, we didn't talk about it, but I got to know it thanks to Iron Pineapple, which is basically a Dark Souls themed YouTuber that tries to cover all new games with a similar style.
I heard it's really good.
I did recommend it to Pedro to check it out because he actively looks into Souls games that are more light-hearted technically. And while technically the story is serious in that, it's definitely is more light-hearted. So there's that.
And as for your question earlier, Teo, the closest I can think of to something that's a bit tense in terms of his music is the first ice level in Spyro 1.
True, I suppose. Alright then, tune in for the next part where Teo Something will actually upgrade a bit more and will be able to probably get already to the boss of his place. See you for that.
Ciao.